saying that his winning record is in lands. His
Ah.
online record is not what he's actually talking about here. It is actually his LAN record.
Nice.
And I'm being subbed in here, and I believe it's me and you, Piggly Wiggly.
I do believe so, my friend.
Have fun.
All right, sit down, Moonglade. Get out of here.
All right, I'm out.
Yep, that's it. Don't let the door hit you on the way out there, mate. And in the bottom right, the number one in the region for quite some time, best Protoss for sure, bar none, from this side of the hemisphere. This is Legacy's Probe.
And up here in the top left-hand side, in the red, representing Sith Gaming, it is HuT.
It is kind of an amazing thing to say that you're the best player of a certain race in the entire hemisphere of the world. Isn't that nice?
This is such an Australian thing as well. Like, you know,
Because
whenever
there
you
aren't
go
that many-
anywhere in Australia, it's always like, did you know this is the biggest, like, water slide in the Southern Hemisphere? And you're like,
Whoa, dude.
whoa.
Did
So
you
it's like
know
between
that
us and, like, South Africa and South America. Cool.
Did you know that I'm the best Terran player in all of my street?
My man, in that
dude.
beach suburb in Adelaide, you're
dude.
the best?
Get wrecked, everyone in my little corner of the world.
That's crazy. I thought all those dudes who don't wear shoes ever and go surfing, I thought they would all be like GMs.
Well, maybe they should stop being scrubs and put down the surfboards and get on the PC from time to time. Maybe they wouldn't just suck against me. There's a proxy gateway here from Probe, being very aggressive to start things off here against HuT. I think this might actually be a little bit of tit for tat, Pig, because he gets proxied quite a bit by this guy.
Dude, this is Probe's been doing this a lot. I think he did this versus my brother earlier today, his teammate, when he knocked him out, and he's done this to me on the ladder as well. Thankfully, HuT's a much better Terran than I am, because I have about a 2% chance of surviving more than 3 minutes against this rush. There is a Zealot that comes across the map, and then a Stalker chrono boosts out of this proxied gateway, and then another Stalker comes across the map. If he wants to go super ham, he throws down a pylon and builds shield batteries here as well. But we do see a second gas behind it, so I think it's going to be a tech transition rather than that. And is it going to be a proxy Stargate to follow it up? I think it might be with where that Probe's sitting. Probe may have just gone full dirty mode. He may have embraced his inner Haas.
I mean, if you want to get dirty, that Taiwanese Protoss is the first guy you meet. But this is a nice spot here from HuT, by the way, catching this Probe. So no extra proxy Stargate. It's just going to be this one proxy gateway, but these very early Stalkers are still very frightening for HuT, especially if this Reaper is on the other side of the map. But it's coming down, and it is going to see the proxy in that Stalker very, very quickly.
Oh, it's hard to target that SCV. There we go. Good click by Probe to get on that 1 second before it finishes. It's going to force a few more SCVs down here, but the bunker's already up. HuT playing so safe here, and he is all over it. Pulls the red hit point SCV flawlessly off that command center, starts building with a healthy one. Uh-oh, does need to send another SCV down to keep that building. But for now, it's all just about safety for HuT. And when I say safety, that's a third command center in his main base. Uh-oh.
How safe.
And the bunker's great. The Marines are great. I was like, okay, there'll be a Cyclone out any moment, right? Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, no. Well, I mean, if this works out for HuT, he's going to look like a genius, but if it doesn't, it's going to look very, very silly here. The Zealot's actually very, very annoying. It's going to tank a lot of these SCVs, coming off the line with whatever Marines he can pump out here from that reactive barracks. The CC keeps being denied, he keeps losing SCVs, but I gotta say with this committal from Probe, it's not like his economy's being hit super hard here, especially considering that third base if that gets up.
As HuT, I think you really need to pull a few more SCVs and just fight this at this point, because otherwise this is going to drag on. He's going to pick off too many Marines. Notice the focus fire from Probe. Takes out a Marine, takes out another Marine. And this is why you want to pull a full 10 SCVs and just man mode this. You want to fight your way through it. But I think he might have lost too much firepower now. He's taken too long to go about it. There's more Stalkers about to rally in. HuT being just a little bit too indecisive, pulling 5 or 6 SCVs. We saw Maru defend the same build from Classic yesterday by pulling about 14 SCVs and just absolutely just blitzing it. But I think HuT is just the third CC. It's so hard to defend this build, and didn't have the perfect response that he needed to hang on.
Another volley there from the Stalkers, and that CC would have been toast. But he is holding on. He's getting concussed shell and Marauders first here, so skipping Stim altogether, definitely focusing on dealing with this pure Stalker army of Probe. Meanwhile, back at home, Probe's got his natural Nexus up. He's pumping out more and more gateways. He's also getting Blink for these Stalkers. So this contain for Probe is pretty powerful. Keep in mind, though, that even though this looks pretty dire from HuT, he does have that third command center. So 3 SCVs at once in production for him.
Yeah, it's just a matter of breaking out, really. If he can break out within a minute and get that natural landed, I'm all for HuT's position being relatively even in this game. The scary thing now is the longer he sits here on one base, the more his, like, you know, everything is just kind of grinded to a halt. Any extra SCVs he builds now aren't really doing anything at the moment. They're just kind of sitting there. He scans and he sees the Robo, the DT Shrine, the Blink, and the Twilight Council upgrading. So HuT knows the DTs, and the DTs actually got cancelled. HuT pushes down now, and he's going to retake that natural. I think HuT's okay in this game.
Me too, and he's got +1 another way for the bio. Obviously, Stim very, very quickly following after Concussive Shell. Concussive Shell is so cheap and so fast of an upgrade as well that it really is a no-brainer in the situation against a Stalker Contain like that. HuT dropping those turrets because he's still expecting those DTs, even though Probe cancelled it. But you know what? 100 minerals here and there for those turrets, just to be safe, isn't going to set him behind too much because he does still have that HuT command center again.
Absolutely, and I do love the flexibility from Probe here to actually go into such a fast third Nexus immediately after having his tech scout and say, you know what, you're going to be very defensive on 2 bases for a while, let's just back off. He even picked off a Marauder there. Marauder for a Stalker, not a bad trade for the Protoss player who's getting the faster third up. And yeah, for HuT, it's a challenge now. You know, he's going for the starport with the reactor. He's going to try and get Medivacs out. But what's hard for HuT is knowing when he can get out onto this map. And he loses another Marine there, pretty much for free. Probe doing a very good job of staying active and just getting the most out of what is a very light investment into pressure.
Certainly, just a handful of Stalkers, no big deal here. And he is actually transitioning out of Stalkers into a more tried and true army composition here. Probably, he's got +1 armor first on that Forge, with a second Forge on the way for attack upgrades, and he's going to switch into charge lots, which will be a lot more effective against the multiple Marauders that are coming out here for HuT. Reaper coming in here for another bit of a look. It has enough hit points to get up into the main. Nice grenade as well. Getting a little bit deeper into that main. Not being macroed incredibly well, but he does see the double Forge being chrono boosted, so he knows that Probe has got a macro-focused mid-game.
Observer's starting to see everything. That's really nice. That's very, very nice until that moment. Missile turrets, of course, pretty good at knocking those down. HuT still only on 2 barracks right now. He's starting, there we go. 3 more barracks go down behind the natural. That's where his production starts to amp up. That's what we've been waiting for. And I feel like he's hitting that point now where we're probably going to see him move out any moment now. You know, you've got Medivacs entering the field, especially with the 2nd and 3rd Medivac. Stim, Concussive, you know, you've got shields only just starting, but just with Stim, Medivacs, and Concussive, it's scary for Protoss to actually stay on the map. And yeah,
Certainly.
I think he's got to back off now. I think Probe, he might leave the Stalkers, but like he's not going to be picking off nearly as many units anymore.
Probe doesn't have too much of an army. He's just got like 9 Stalkers and a handful of Zealots on the map. He's coming up for another poke here. Maybe want to pick off a Marauder or a Marine or something. He does get that 1 Marine, but Concussive Shell and Blink already been burned here for Probe. He's going to cost 3 Stalkers for that move in.
Yeah, he said he needs to be a bit more careful with this. Like, you can pick off maybe a Marine or a Marauder here or there, but he went too deep and got punished for it. A lot of Zealots are kind of out there with a Sentry and an Immortal. We've got 2-1 upgrades on the way, soon to be 2-2 starting for Probe. And since the early game dragged on so long, you'll notice the main bases are heavily mining out for both players. If either player can delay or deny the other one's 3rd base now, it is a crippling maneuver. In fact, whoever can get the faster 4th up will get a big boost to their income above the other player because of this kind of protracted early game rush phase. So in these sort of games, the next fight becomes very, very crucial. This is a big bio army. I don't think it's enough to get through Probe's force just yet, but Liberators are building as well. And if you add a few Liberators to the mix, a few mines, suddenly I think things might tilt in HuT's favor.
Yeah, the Liberators and the Mines would certainly make the difference here. Just this Bio Ball against like 13 charge lots and a couple Guardian Shields, I don't see winning this fight at all. Looks like Probe's coming in for the back of these Stalkers, maybe trying to catch a Medivac or something like that, or even a Liberator on the reinforcement path. He doesn't find anything just yet. But I like that he's being actively Stalkers, and I like this as well, just sending a couple Zealots in to harass that 3rd mineral line.
Very nice maneuver there. Going to pick up 4 or 5 SCVs at least, I think. Actually just dodges the Liberator zone as well. And Marauders going to finally say goodbye to that. But a Warp Prism coming in as well.
He's got a reacted factory just pumping out lots and lots of Widow Mines here, so he's going to really negate that charge lot count for Probe. when he goes for this attack. I think even though he's pulling back, the attack is definitely on the cards for HuT. But look at this warp in the main. Beautiful timing for Probe as well, causing HuT to probably have to react and pull back again.
Yeah,
and he's not
that's
pulling back this time. He's actually still going for it.
Yeah, he's borrowing Widow Mines on his ramp. I like that he's pulled everything away from this at least. His 1-1's finished. He wants to make something happen. A Liberator goes down on the front of that. Ooh, nice pick off by Probe. Those Liberators are so crucial. They add so much power to this army. And getting that one so early is beautiful. But look at this huge bio army. HuT has the numbers. He's being decisive. He's not second-guessing himself. And he's just going ham. The main base of HuT, the command center, is actually going to burn down here with the Zealots hitting it. But I think it might not even matter.
These Widow Mines hurting HuT's forces as well as Probes. He is getting through that charge lock count and killing a lot of Probes here in the natural. This Disruptor actually didn't get a Nova off. That's too critical, but Probe is starting to lose a few of these Immortals. Uh-oh, is Probe actually out of this game? He's got a lot of his army on the other side of the map.
Yeah, this is still kind of crazy. The command center in the main went down for HuT. HuT's natural now getting ransacked as well. HuT is actually taking crazy damage behind this, so if Probe can mount a defense, there's still a chance, but the army supply is monstrous, and HuT not focusing on defense at all. He is just focusing on killing his Protoss opponent. The Disruptor may be big. It comes down, takes out only a single Widow Mine. Not going to be the hit he was looking for. Stalkers are going to manage to take out the Liberator. Good play here by Probe, patiently picking away at this. I wouldn't mind seeing HuT just run into the third, take that out, and then pull back. Back at home, it seems he's finally cleaned up the units, but the Warp Prism is still down near his third base.
Lost that main command center, lost his engineering base, but he still has this CC alive. Probe defending desperately here against a lot of Marines with +1 attack. He has 2-2 upgrades, and this this Disruptor with a juicy hit, killing a lot of Marines and Marauders. This force field also delaying HuT. He's not going to load up into those Minivacs and go into the main with this many Stalkers. It's way too risky, so he's just going to sit there on that low ground, let Probe have his main for now. But these two Liberators are going to make it hard to chase these units while he goes to that third base, and Probe's just going to tap out.
Doesn't have the numbers there in the end of that game. And wow, HuT hanging on with the 3 command center build against the proxy gate. That's the sort of very, very calm, beautiful defensive macro play you love to see. HuT, you know, I thought he was in trouble when those Stalkers made him evacuate his natural, but he saved it. He had 3 command centers. He bounced back, and he hit very, very hard with that big push.
Certainly. Oh man, HuT already with a 1-0 lead in a series against the region's greatest Protoss. This is that was actually a really legit hold as well against some very annoying, I would say, like not hugely committal attack, a hugely committed attack from Probe, but that annoying pressure with a couple Stalkers and just sitting in that mineral line and just having that contained for a while. Turns out that third command center was the correct decision there. You know, we were a little bit worried for him. We thought, oh, you know, Factory coming out, Cyclone coming out. That makes a lot of sense against the Stalker contain, but nope. Third CC, triple SCV production was the way in. And yeah. I would have gone, I'm pulling everything back to deal with this charge lot warp in. And that would have been a mistake. I wouldn't have won that game.
Yeah.
That would a very, very good decisive maneuver.
Well, you know, I would have done the same, Maynard, and I would have some games done both. I would have decisively pushed in the front and died at home and at the front at the same time, you know? Like, there's a reason I pull home. It's because I know I don't break them with that attack, because I'm not as good at HuT as at playing these styles. I mean, his defense was just incredible early on, so it's a very good play by HuT. Managed to shut that one down, and suddenly, here we go, game number 2. It is Catalyst. It's going to be good.
Going good. Get your chairs out, strap in, guys. Hopefully you're well hydrated. Get your all caps ready for your favorite player. And let's get into it. Currently on match point in the bottom right here, representing SYF, the Darren player. This is HuT.
And after a hard loss, looking to bring the comeback out, the blue Protoss in the top left, representing Legacy Esports. It is Probe.
Yes, sir. Does Probe play a more regular PvT this time, or does he get weird again? It's a pretty quick Probe scout, quote unquote, and also not going straight through the middle of the map.
Yeah, just going to be making its way down there. Still no gas for Probe just yet. So it looks like the same build as last time. Pro maybe thinking he did something wrong last game. Maybe says, you know what, I think that advantage was fine. I understand HuT as a player. I think he's either going to do the same thing or he's going to do something I can take advantage of. And you know what, this is such a fierce build. It is very powerful and very hard to stop, but the bunker being down so early last game is really, I think, what made things slow down initially. And that kind of allowed him to get out a lot more units. So HuT is going to go for an SCV scout, though. Oh, he sees the probe. He sees the probe.
Yeah, he saw the probe also coming from the left and not through the middle. So that's a really big tell there.
But he didn't change paths, and that kind of... interesting. I do wonder if he's going to go and check for that, or if he just kind of says, you know what, I don't even care, I know it's there. But yeah, CC on the low ground, maybe he didn't pay attention to where that probe came from, because I feel like you'd have to put the CC on the high ground if you saw that probe coming from such a weird angle.
He's going to see this Zealot, and that'll tell him. If this SCV hangs around for that gateway unit, he's going to be like, uh-oh. Yeah, I mean, he already knows it's a Zealot because the cyber core is not done, so now he knows this is aggression.
Yeah, and with no Nexus down yet, you know there's a proxy gate as well. And the Reaper finds it, sees that, and he knows where it's coming from. So the bunker should get down in time. And there's a factory on the way this time around. Much faster factory than in that previous game, rather than the third command center. So I think this should actually, if anything, be an even easier hold for HuT when he gets that Cyclone out.
I'm feeling it. All right, this actually moves the Stalker a little bit closer to that bunker, but the bunker finishes, and he doesn't lose any SCVs this time. And remember the last game, HuT was losing SCVs here and there. His natural was being denied by the Stalker running past. This game, not going to happen.
Not at all. He's actually going a tech lab on the factory straight away as well, so not going for the Cyclone, going to go immediately to the Siege Tank. That will delay, of course, the unit being out by about an extra 20 seconds. But when it comes out, a Siege Tank will shut this down. Interestingly, a proxy Twilight Council behind this from Probe, kind of out on the side of the map in a very awkward position. SCV from HuT, though, he scouts no natural. He's like, oh, okay, all right, buddy. All I need to do is survive.
Probe once again sending in 2 Stalkers and a Zealot into this back mineral line. HuT just sending all those Marines chasing these Stalkers down, not even bothering with that Zealot. And the Reaper even helping out. These Stalkers desperately want to delay this command center, but not able to do it just yet. They do get all the bio units, though.
Poor micro there from HuT, and great, just slippery micro from Probe sliding on past that. Suddenly there's a Siege Tank. There's nothing supporting it. HuT can't even figure out exactly how he's meant to use this Siege Tank because he doesn't want it to get sniped from the low ground. Oh man, that's awkward.
And Probe can just move out of Siege Tank range and continue just zapping this command center with those Stalkers, which is going to force HuT to have to react with, 1 reactor's worth of defense. Last game, he had a second barracks. He had a third command center, so, he could still produce SCVs, and he had an orbital. This game, Probe's actually proxying a Dark Shrine with that Twilight Council, so this time, very unlikely that HuT's going to see this at all.
I mean, he's got to build an engineering bay as his next structure, 100%. You've scouted such a late expansion that, Stargate or DTs, either way, you've got to get your engineering bay up ready for this. If HuT skips that, feeling too behind, though, because he's so pressured losing the natural position, he may get in trouble. I think he's going to go Raven, actually.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, the Stargate would do pretty well against Raven, but if it's DT, that's going to be quite nice. Mobile detection here. But HuT still just with 2 CCs, and they're all just locked in here in the main base. Not able to take that natural, while Probe's natural finishes up back at home.
DTs are going to start to warp in at that third base. I don't know if he'll show them straight away. He might just kind of bait out a scan or something, but I don't know. When your opponent's on 1 base and you don't have a warp prism to get them in there, DTs feels just a little bit, I don't know, just ineffective. So yeah, I like the patience. Probe's just going to wait for the natural to go down. There is a Raven starting, though, so this is just going to play into HuT's hands. HuT will be very comfortable. And, yeah, this should be really good for our Terran player. I think if HuT just moves these Siege Tanks forward, gets 1 on the northern ledge as well, he should be able to secure this natural. With that Raven coming out, he's going to be great. That's
really where I like to have my Siege Tank, right there on that ledge, just to the north of the first barracks on that wall there. So it really does cover that natural ramp entrance a little bit. There is still a gap for the Stalkers and whatever gateway units to have to mosey into that natural, but gives you a lot more space to move your bio units down. You need that meat shield between the tanks and the gateway units of the Protoss. Observer on the way here for Probe back at home. He still has just the one DT for now. He hasn't shown his hand just yet, but that Raven really shuts that down. The tanks managed to find the low ground, and that's going to mean he's going to take his natural back.
Yep, and the Raven has been shown as well, so the DTs immediately back off. Probe, no doubt, sighing in annoyance, saying, there's a Raven out? Okay, DT is just going to go hide in the corner of the map. We're going to hide this unit choice. We're going to just save it until much later in the game.
Yeah, he's got sort of like a mini contain here with his Stalkers, just more keeping an eye on the army movements of HuT than anything else. He sends out that spot, Marine goes up, Stalkers are still here, no worries, all good. Just making a second Raven here, getting more and more siege tanks out. It looks like he's, with these multiple Ravens, he's going to have that support spellcaster, who's going to be able to do a lot of utility for him. Not only does it have mobile detection, can also armor shred those Stalkers down and whatever else Probe has on the other side of the map. Like if he has Colossi or anything really, really scary, you can lock it down with Interference Matrix.
Yeah, I mean, even just dropping 4 auto turrets in front of a fight has like so much firepower and tanking ability. It's actually so many ways to use the Ravens. So I love this choice. Double Raven, 3 barracks have been pumping for quite a while now, and he's going to swap the starport and the barracks around to get our double Marauder production and double medevacs at the same time. So very, very healthy 2-base setup. And HuT's saying, you know what, I feel like I've defended well enough. 4th and 5th barracks. He's not going for the 3rd CC. He's committing to a huge 2-base push this time around, and I think that's a great way to play it. Just really, really just saying one big push, stop you mining your 3rd, grind that down. And what splash damage does Probe have? None. It's just going to be Immortals and Charge Lots against pure bio tank Raven.
I feel like that happens every time a Terran makes a Raven like this with bio tank. It just feels like they're just going to push, right? Like they have so much utility with these Ravens to be able to, like you said, auto turrets, armor shredder, interference matrix. You can lock down like that the immortal if he wants to. Like there's a lot of stuff you can do with those Ravens. Can't believe they're chilling at home.
Yeah, I think they'll definitely come out soon enough.
Yeah, when he goes for the attack.
There is a robotic support bay on the way, so disruptors will be potentially coming in. It's going to add something, but Probe's not really ahead in workers at all. Yeah, he's got a 3rd almost finished, but he definitely doesn't really have an economy advantage just yet.
Surprise! Marine's going for the catch there on those Stalkers, which have burned Blink, but luckily he's not chasing with his Marauders. Those Stalkers are going to survive. I'm a little worried for Probe, man. I'm a little worried. That's a lot of army here.
Yeah,
Boys are coming as well.
This could be a 2-0. HuT might just be able to close this out. This is such a powerful push. I'm not calling it early by any means, but DT's warping in right now. There's 2 Ravens out. What is that going to do? He's just making Archon charge lot. I mean, there's a lot of tanks. Tanks aren't great against Archons or charge lots. Also, I wouldn't mind if Probe just gives up that expansion and really looks for the perfect fight. He's counterattacking with 2 DTs. 1's in the main, 2 in the natural. Oh my lord, this could do huge damage.
It certainly can, but HuT could actually kill him with his army. And even if the DTs kill every SCV, if he can wipe the Protoss off the map, it won't even matter. The Archon tries to split there, but not so well in the end. He takes the Dorito dust in a few of those units, but most of them are still fine. And here comes the big attack. The Medevac supporting the bio units in the sky. Lockdowns on the Archons and on the Mortal as well.
Wow!
The Mortal also wasted supply right now for Probe as it dies immediately. Probe losing his entire army on the other side of the map as HuT loses his entire economy on the other side.
HuT just presses the nope button and puts it on the Immortals and Archons. They did nothing in that entire engagement. And Probe here, even though he's massacred HuT's entire economy and knocked him down to 7 workers, he just doesn't quite have the firepower to cleanse his way through this. And HuT seems to have been able to do it. He's got more Marines and Marauders. A Liberator coming in as well. The natural of Probe getting dangerously low. I mean, what does Probe have to work with? A few Stalkers, a Sentry, a couple of DTs. That's about it. He doesn't have much going for him at all. He's going to try and recall those DTs, or Probe's actually into his main base. But there's just too many siege tanks.
He's trying to hold on as well as he can here, but you're absolutely right. The Liberators, the siege tanks, a small group of bio, even the ability to lock down anything with his Ravens as well. He's just going to drop an auto turret for extra DPS. Probe is completely wiped out here. He's lost all of his workers in a Vanderbilt from HuT as Probe taps out and HuT gets the 2-0. Oh my god. Woo.
Wow.
I'm going to need a second here. Stuff really heating up.
My lord. that mule drop at the end, just spicy.
Goodness.
I mean, to be fair,
Wow.
not necessarily a mana mule, because he had DTs in his mineral lines at home, and he was using it to repair a red hit point siege tank.
I think it was a mana mule. I think he was dropping the hammer.
I think I've seen a mana mule or two in my time, and that was a mule of mannering, Pig. that was not near any siege tanks. That was well and truly in the line of the bio units there. That is the most.
It repaired a
Mannered of
siege
mules.
tank at the end, all right? So it was, he is like, oh, I don't want to be that much of a bad guy. He's like, quick, pretend I'm using it for something. Oh my!
I think
Lord.
it was well justified, man. That is an insane win against an insane player, and to get a mana mule off in that situation is worth it.